So you've booked your accommodation, you've booked your flights. Now we need to decide what is the best mode of transport for you on Koh Phangan. Now to start this video, I want to show you guys a video of me making this video. Enjoy. Such a beautiful day. I was trying to make a video to show how dangerous these steep slopes can be, and this one seemed like a good choice. And me being very experienced, got a brand new bike, and I got up here and that happened. I tried to make a turn here, and then this was also steep. So now you can imagine if you're coming down from the top there, coming straight down 90 degrees all the way there, and then the worst part is when you get to the bottom, you're literally perpendicular to the main road, so you can't carry any speed because you've got cars coming from the left and the right. So yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't want this to happen because now my bike is messed up. Oh, it hurts me to see my bike lying on the ground like that, but very valuable lesson. Now, I didn't show you guys that video to cause any sort of fear, but you do also have to have a realistic expectation of what you're going to come up against on Koh Phangan. If you are an inexperienced female, the Scoopy might be a great bike for you to rent when you get to Koh Phangan. The Scoopy is a little bit smaller, and most of the weight is near the bottom of the bike, which means that when it starts to tip left or right, it doesn't get heavy really quickly because most of the weight is at the bottom. When you have the bigger, more powerful bikes, there's a lot more weight at the top. So when they do start tipping left or right, it becomes really heavy really quickly. The most common bike by far is the Click 125cc. This is the bike I would say 70% of the people on the island drive these bikes. However, over the past 5 years, there has been a shift away from these bikes. You now get a lot bigger, more powerful, and safer options. The good news is that the island has really improved on the types of scooters that they offer for rent when people come to the island. In the past, you usually got really old bikes that didn't have power, the brakes weren't so good, the tires were kind of worn. But nowadays, because a lot of like upper level people are coming to the island, you have lots of families, they are now offering much larger, newer, safer, more powerful scooters. As you saw in the video, my scooter is a brand new 160cc Honda Click. I absolutely love this bike. I feel like it's got a really good combination of power, good brakes, thick wheels, without it being too powerful or lacking power and being unsafe. So it's kind of like a middle ground. If I had to compare it to a car, I would probably say it's like an Audi or a Mercedes. You know, it's not like a Lambo, it's not a Ferrari, but it's also not... Okay. I don't want to shame any car manufacturers, but you know what I mean. Moving on to helmets. Full confession, the first 2 years I lived here, I had no medical aid, never ever wore a helmet, and nothing ever went wrong. I absolutely love driving on a scooter, shades on, beautiful sunshine, air going through your face. It's such a good island style feeling. But having made some friends with guys who own bars on the island and who also love riding big motorbikes like Harley Davidsons, they were actually the ones that sat me down and said, look Chris, you have such a good life on the island, putting on a helmet is so easy, and it takes away by far the biggest risk element of living on the island. I spoke to people that had stories of having very small accidents, but just the way they fell, they ended up hitting their head, and their entire body's medical bill was maybe 10,000 baht, but because of something that happened to their head, they had to get on a helicopter to the next island. It went up to 500,000 bill. So for that reason, putting on a helmet, it just makes sense. Regardless of which bike you end up renting, you are most likely going to get a helmet that looks similar to this. Now, even though this is better than not wearing a helmet at all,
you can see that if I put this on, my entire face is still exposed. So unless you're going to do literally a flip in the air and land on top of your head, you are still completely exposed here. Teeth, nose, eyes, everything. So even though this is better than nothing, it's definitely not ideal. Now this is way better. Full protection, much less likely to cause damage. Price wise, in the low season, your scooters are usually going to start around 4,000 baht a month, up to about 10 or 12,000 depending on what level of scooter you're going to get. And in the high season, I would probably add about 3,000 baht from the low and the high end. Luckily, there is a really large supply of scooters on the island, so it's not the same situation as you can have here with accommodation, where it might be difficult to find a place you really like. You will definitely be able to find a scooter that you want. And then for those of you that have never driven a scooter before, just quick little tip, left brake is always your back brake. That's the one you use 90% of the time. You want to stay away from the front brake because it really can cause problems, especially if your front tire is not 100% straight. It can cause you to slide out pretty quickly.